Good evening, viewers, listeners, wherever you are, all over the world. Welcome to our 40th edition of the Issues Room. This is the presentation that comes your way Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and midnight Greenwich Mean Time, depending on the time zone you find yourself around the world. The Issues Room is the alternative media platform here, which is social media, put it right. It can be heard on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the Issues Room page. We've been coming through for the last several months now. Our launching was September 14, and here we are, January 18th, with the 40th edition. This evening presentation is what we consider juicy, so we hope that you hang around. But in the meantime, I'd like to bring in Moses Sandy from the Newcastle area to come in this evening. I'm Volcano Shelton. Moses, welcome.
Thank you, Volcano. It's pleasing to be here with you in the Issues Room from Newcastle, Delaware. And let me say, no, quickly, let me just say hi to our many
viewers. Your lighting is so perfect. You look so natural tonight.
Thank
Extremely
you.
natural for the first time, man.
Yeah, man, we've been working hard.
Been working on this stuff.
Working very hard, trying to make sure that the Issue Room becomes the most talked about talk show, in the diaspora.
Thank you. As usual, we have our trending issues in the news. But before we go to that, 2 productions ago, we brought in the Liberian Returning Network, the nonprofit organization in Liberia that has been in the vanguard of helping to repatriate Liberians from within the sub-region, but particularly the Butuburam camp in Ghana. And we did a small fundraiser for them. Of course, we needed to come back to the public to tell our viewers and our listeners how much was raised and who made contributions, and that money has been sent and received. So tonight, if you're just joining us, we want you to acknowledge that we want you to come in so we can acknowledge that you're here. So come in, tell us you're here, come in the chat. So we're hoping, and I see Arnold Weir. In fact, Arnold, you just celebrated your wedding anniversary. So congratulations, my brother. From back in the days, we used to play soccer, and he's all the way from Lower Margibi County. Okay. I mean, I don't know why this guy didn't make it to the big leagues. This was a master dribbler. When you talk about George Weir,
wow,
Arnold B. Weir, man, this boy could play the soccer.
He call him ball player, right?
He was very skillful. I had a shot. They all used to run from my shot, but when the can throw it at the man. But he's watching with us all the way from Margibi County. Good to have you. But yeah. So as I was saying, we kind of raised a small amount, but again, it's not the amount that matters. It is the gesture and those folks who contributed. We want to give them the props, and we were able to raise $420. The $420 were monies contributed by Samuel Abu, who made a generous donation of $100. Mr. Joe Dawala Hutchinson from Africa Radio, Africa TV 1 in Atlanta, Georgia, who made a generous donation of $100. One of our viewers and listeners and supporter, Mr. Bennett O'Connor, made a generous contribution of $50. And another contributor and viewer and listener and supporter, Francis Nimle, made a generous contribution of $50. Then the Issues Room team, comprising you and myself, made $50 donation each. And our good friend and brother, who is also another avid listener and viewer, all the way from Massachusetts, Emmanuel Jackson, made a generous contribution of $20. So in total, we raised $420 for the LRN project of helping to repatriate Liberians back to the bombing area where they've acquired a 10-acre piece of land. And to send that money, the transfer fee was $10. So I used $10 from the $420 and then sent $410. That money was sent via West MoneyGram. and it was received by Mr. Emmanuel Tyrone Marshall, who is the executive director of Liberia Returning Network Incorporated. So the money has been received, and um, he responded to me, and he want to thank everyone. He expresses his gratitude on behalf of their organization, and they said that the journey just began. They will continue down this path of hoping that they can get this accomplished, because their effort is a vast amount of money they want to raise, considering where they're going to go with this project. So again, we want to thank all of the contributors: Sam Abu, Joe Dawala Hutchinson, Bennett O'Connor, Francis Nimle, you, Moses Sandy, and Mr. Emmanuel Jackson, and including myself, for raising the amount of $420, which has been forwarded.
And Volcano, I would just like to quickly join you in saying thanks to the many contributors. It is a meaningful initiative, and it is pleasing being of help to people who really need help. Thank you again, too, for the contribution.
And yeah, we want to thank the Issues Room and the Issues Room family for stepping to the plate and helping out in this, way. But let's go
Yeah.
to trending issues in the news. From my end, quickly before you come in with your story.
Yeah.
Uh, just ended county meeting Liberia, the 2021-2022 county meet ended, and in favor of Nima County as predicted by a song that was done. Now there's a controversy around the song. Some say it's President Weah latest effort, and
Yeah.
others are saying no, it's not President Weah. I think his one of his proteges, Colasco, came out to debunk the maker of the song and saying that it's not Weah. But the voice clearly sounds like him. Again, it's something that we can go after to make sure. But again, Nimba County defeated Grand Bassa County 2-0 at the Samuel Kaindo Sports Complex this past Sunday in the final.
No, Nima defeated
2-1.
Gbapolo.
Sorry. Yeah,
Defeated Gbapolo 2
yeah,
1. Yeah.
2-1. I meant to say Bapulu 2-1.
Yeah.
Uh, and um, Grand Bassa and Margibi played to a 2-0 win for Margibi over Grand Bassa, making Margibi the third place winner. And so we have in the order the champions Nimba, second place Bapulu, and third place Grand Bassa, or rather Margibi County.
Margibi. Yeah.
And then in volleyball, Lofa County, not
Like,
volleyball but kickball, Lofa County won the championship. Volleyball and basketball went to Grand Crew County, where the president hails from, and in fact, he was a player on both sides,
yeah.
meaning in basketball and in volleyball, and he won the MVP. What that tells you, president has a lot of time on his hand to be playing in a competitive meet,
Yeah.
because
We're young.
this is
We're young people.
yeah, but this is a competitive meet.
Yeah.
Did he just show and say, "Okay, me Jesse," or he practiced with the team in preparation? Did he camp with the team? Did he
Eh,
lead the presidency to do all of that, or he just show up and say, "Okay, me Jesse, I'm from Grand Crew," and play?
The man went to defend. He man went to support his people, and he did it to the best of his ability. But I think the wrong message, the optics is just not good. It portrays him as a domineering character. The presidency should not be about an individual. It should be about the good of Liberia, the people of Liberia, the interests of Liberia. George Weah cannot be all over the place. He has too much on his place. I mean,
Mhm,
on his plate to deal with politically. That's
mhm,
what the people elected him for.
mhm.
Mhm.
All right, your story.
Yeah. Liberia is bereaved. Uh, Mr. Ahaji G.V. Kroma, a career journalist, politician, former chair of the Department of Mass Communication at the University of Liberia, former director general of the state-owned Liberia Broadcasting System. is dead. Mr. Kumar died today in Monrovia following a protracted period of illness. Mr. Kumar in 1997 contested the Liberian presidency and he came third. He is the founder of the All Liberian Coalition Party, ACO. Uh, when the Civil War was raging, Mr. Kumar led the Madinga faction of the United Liberation Movement, ULIMO, then referred to as ULIMO K. So the name Ahaji Kumar in Liberia is a household word. He was also a councilman. He played active role in Liberian politics. So Liberia again is bereaved. This is a significant blow to the Madinga community, the people of Lofa, and Liberia as a whole. Volcano. You had the opportunity of following Mr. Kumar. Let me give you the opportunity too to say something.
Not much, not much. I
Okay.
think all I can say is that may his soul rest in peace,
Yeah.
as the old adage, and wishing eternal bliss on the other side.
Yeah.
Uh,
We hope that his soul will rest in peace, you know, as he passed on. He passed on.
all right.
Sad situation. Yeah.
Okay. So tonight conversation centers around the Jottings from the Motherland,
Yeah.
a piece of narrative three-part series put together by journalist Hassan Kiawu, a former correspondent for the British Broadcasting Corporation, a former newscaster of the Liberia Broadcasting System, a sports reporter, and a consultant in media who has worked for the Ministry of Agriculture, the Liberia Electricity Corporation, and so forth. We had Hassan here when we discussed the pricing, but we thought to bring him back because we saw a lot of good stuff in his writings, and we thought to review some of those things with him as a journalist with firsthand experience during his recent visit to Liberia, the last holiday season just past Christmas, New Year. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Hassan Kiawu back to the Issues Room. Good evening, welcome, Hassan, and hope everything is going well on your end.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure being on the show. And in fact, before I start, our friend Rudolph Mark had just called to say that congratulations to you guys. You guys are doing a wonderful job, a fantastic job. And he sees that you guys are an alternative platform.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rudolph.
Thank
Rudolph
you.
has worked with us at LBS,
You
uh,
did.
a big
And he
brother,
lives in Trenton.
yeah,
Yeah.
big brother
Mhm.
who was an engineer.
Yeah.
So we've learned a lot from him when it comes to that interfacing of the studio and the transmitter room,
Right.
the relationship between the two.
Yeah, you know. And
So Hassan, you just returned from Liberia. You were there for, I believe, another occasion. It had to do with Liberia Athlete Association, and during your trip, you were able to capture different facets of the country, meaning the economy, the gossips, the
mhm,
bank, uh,
the
the
media.
media, the COVID and how it's being treated, LEC, your old workplace, and all of that. But we want to start mainly first with the media because a lot of folks, or maybe we should save the media and come to it later because a lot of people will then tune in at that time. But let's start. Let's start with the killer bean. Let's start with this killer
Yeah.
bean.
Yeah,
They
Indeed.
say the killer bean
Kelvin, the yellow school bus, right?
is the reservoir for gossip, and
Yeah.
oftentimes the information put forth can have some juice behind it. It only led with the person who received that information to follow up, but
Yeah.
oftentimes it comes to fruition because in our Liberian common saying, where there is smoke, there's fire.
That's fire. Yeah.
So share the experience of the killer being or public transportation in particular.
Well, like I said in my jottings, whenever you want to hear the best gossip in Liberia, ride a public transportation. And where to start from? Ride the killer bean. The killer bean is basically the yellow school bus that we see here in the States. People take the yellow school bus to Liberia and turn it into a transportation, for transportation, a bus. So it starts from Gardnersville. And then, sometimes you ride taxi as well. But I rode everything. I rode the Pempem, the Keke, which is the tricycle taxi, the killer bean, and also taxi. I also even became a taxi driver as well, just to, get, a feel of how people are thinking, because I didn't want to rely on killer bean alone. I didn't want to rely on Keke or Pempem or taxi. So I decided that I would do everything, all forms of transportation.
And
So,
in your
But
experience, that just quickly, you talked about some of the things that were trending, the gossips.
yeah, the gossips and the worship service.
oh yeah, sure. So the gossip. There are so many gossip, and sometimes every morning it starts with a worship service on the buses. So they will start worshiping, and then some people are distressed. Some people are they're going to hustle in the morning. They really don't want to listen to people telling them about God or telling them about, or let's pray for the country, let's pray for the government, and it infuriates other people. So this day I decided, a few days after I arrived in Liberia, and I decided that, what, I'm going to ride the killer bean. And I wore my short pants and the short sleeve because it's very hot in Liberia. So I rode one of them. I decided to drive all the way to Ghana's around JJY. And
Yeah.
then there I took off from, I rode a killer bean. And throughout, there was prayer service going on all the way to Town, which is the last stop. But then a guy was infuriated because this guy kept praying and he couldn't end. And the guy said, man, look, man, look, if that money you want, come for money, man, and just shut up. You just causing noise in our ear from Ghana. What kind of God you want to bring? Nothing can happen in the country because God said tired with us. Yeah, and I'm listening. I said, well, what is the guy? He said, yeah, because you're sitting there, your job, I mean, just stealing the money and people just eating money or so on. He said, and then, then a CDC man came to defend and said, what do you mean? You got evidence, you're not seeing it? And then talk about Jowia's, condominiums, talk about everything. And the guy told his friends, look here, you don't even know your own CDC, you don't even know who run the country. Joe, are not even running the country. Mageo run the country. Then you got Samuel Twe, and you got Jefferson Koji, and then Yimane Pearson is a lady on the side that is also running the country. And I'm like, where did you guys get this from? And then some CDC guys jumped into the conversation. They even mentioned Bill Troy, who is the
Managing director of
managing
Freeport.
director MPA with Bakuba Jr. has been one of those who's trying to infiltrate the hierarchy or the guys, the top guns within the ruling establishment. And then, so the conversation kept going back and forth, back and forth. And each time a sedition wanted to say something, almost the entire boss would say, shut your, I don't want to say this,
Yeah.
yeah. Shut your mouth, just sit yourself down. And everybody would just scream at him. So it was as if everybody else was against the government on the bus, and there were only a few or handful of people. But then the handful of people were so overwhelmed by the number of people who were against the government, and so each time they wanted to say a few words, their words would not come out because everybody would shout at them, and then they would sit down. And they want to talk about, how the president, he talks about peace, but peace and unity, when in fact he's not a peaceful man. Because if you want to do peace, you should start with your friends. James Diba, he doesn't speak to James Diba. He doesn't speak to a whole bunch of them. So how can you start peace in the country, keep talking about peace, when in fact the people who are nearest to you, you have no peace with them. You have no peace in your heart for them. So those are some of the things they said. And then, so I said a whole bunch of other stuff. So I decided that, we've arrived in Claratown. By this time, I was sweating profusely because of the heat and the odor, the bad odor. Not many people use cologne or so. the heat, the exhaust fumes was coming, from the tail, and in the killer bean, the school bus, you will see that the back door has a glass, but then underneath it, the glass was halfway broken. So the exhaust fumes were entering the bus. At the same time, the odor, so I told the guy driver, you gotta put me down. By this time, I was sweating profusely. I got down around City Brothers in Town, and as I was coming down, somebody recognized me. He said, "Oh, you know Hassan Kiawu there?" The man said, "No, not Hassan Kiawu. Hassan Kiawu can rap with Brad boss like that. That may not be me. He can ride the boss of that." Then another guy responded and said, "But yeah, man there." Then he said, "You're a journalist then. You're a journalist. You kind of news you can look for. You must write a good news because you can lie, you can blackmail, you can. In fact, all of your part of it, you're in the people pocket."
Wow.
So yeah, put in a pocket. So I got down, and then I went because I have a relative right between Sati Brothers and Wasney Brothers. So I went there, I freshened up, and then I took a taxi. Taxi took me to Broad Street. But while in the taxi, there were about 3 passengers there. I made it the 4th person and the last person to board the taxi. And they were going, and I started to pick their brains a little bit while we're going. But then there was little time to pick their brains from Claratown to to Broad Street. So when everybody disembarked, I told the Camel, look at me, I'm going Cinco. Can you take me? He said, no problem. But Camel, I don't want you to take anybody. I'll pay for all the seats. He said, oh, no problem. And I began to ask him. And he said that some of the things, and I began to narrate some of the things I heard in the Caribbean. And he agreed to almost everything he said. And he even went beyond saying that accusing Mageo and Sametua of having a business establishment in the Ivory Coast. And I'm like, hold on. This is new to me. Or for me. I've never heard that before. And he said, my man, you're sleeping. There are a lot of things going on in this place. Many of us will not say that. He said, you see me? I am an engineer. And I bid for a contract. But they will not give me the contract because I wouldn't give them what they wanted. And I said, what do they want? He said, my man, they want something from me. And because I wouldn't give them money, each time they may want to come to me for money, because if I start giving them money up front, then that means I won't do the work. They will ask for certain percentage of the money up front that I have to give them because they've awarded me the contract. So I won't get it. So that's the reason why I'm not going to do it. And I said, but hold on, if that's the music that is played around here, then you must dance to the tune because you're a poor engineer and you want to get something that I saw. And the guy, you could hear the anger and the crying in his voice when he was explaining to me. He said, look here, if I do that, the minister, the deputy minister, or even the directors, they will never finish from my place because that will be a melting pot for them. Every Saturday they will go there, Chief, we yell, your boys yell. And he doesn't want to do that because he's an upcoming business guy, an engineer. He has started his business, is going not so well per se, but at least on an appreciable level. But he didn't want to be bribing people when in fact he feels that he's qualified. Then he started to say that, what's the statement the president made? That Liberians will no longer become spectators in their own economy. He felt that was another way, that he felt bad. He talked about how, the contracts are awarded to the Lebanese friends, or so. And I keep asking him, what evidence do you have to say these things?
So,
we know that. And he said, ask anybody. They will tell you. Look at many of the road construction. And he mentioned the SSF. I don't know what that SSF is, but it's a company, I'm told, is owned by some Lebanese fellow. Yeah.
Hassan, you have said a lot. I think what I'm hearing from you is that when you ride the killer being or the yellow balls or the pimpin or whatever, that is where most of the street talks are generated and spread. You get to have an insight of the politics in Liberia, the economy, and the social life of the people, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course, because you may see things from face value,
Mm-hmm.
or you will need to go underneath the skin of some of these things. And one of the ways to do it is to go over and see these things. And many of the things that I heard in the taxi or buses or even pimping or keke, I saw them first with my own eyes. I mean, like Nigerian men would say, I carry IC and kuro kuro. I mean, I saw some of these things. So, not everything I saw. So I won't say 100% they are correct. But a lot of people within those circles are crying that this is what's happening. So I won't say they are lying. I will also say they are seeing the truth, but the
But
realities are there. People can see it.
but one of
Okay.
the things that I will add quickly here, what we fail to realize, and it's sad that a lot of people, when they have aligned themselves with a specific political institution, they turn the blind eye and pretend as if they don't know what Liberia is about. The three of us here in this studio tonight know that for a fact our community are close knit.
Yeah.
The news spread faster than anything, because you know one of the minister may be sleeping with somebody right in your neighborhood, and you see that car coming every night. But that person he's sleeping with, he giving information to that person, and that person in the
Yeah.
community got
That's
people, they will
no.
give the information, and then the information will spread. How you think that some of the issues that brought about uh, the crisis, how you think some of the information was spread? How you think that the government could know that this group was here, or the rebels knew that that group was there? And so, to say the truth and to say the least, the gossips, they sometimes have a way of bringing forth some of the things that happening in the country. Now, to verify it, that's where the journalists come in, to go the extra mile, to dig deep and to find some of these things. So, what the gentleman talked about that I'm concerned with, that Samuel Toy in the last 4 years, who didn't barely have money, and Nathaniel McGee, who barely have money now, have businesses in the Ivory Coast. That's an information that need to be looked at, because it's important. How within the last 4 years these gentlemen are able to establish business? What type of businesses are these
Are they?
businesses? You know, what are they producing? What are they selling? What are they consulting for? Or, what type of business? That's an information that need to be looked at. But I just wanted to throw that in, that of course a lot of time people will come up because they heard something. But let's go on. When the guy talked about you journalists can spread a lie, and then sometimes too you're in the pocket of the government, I think that should be a place where we can bring in the media. You
Absolutely.
have been with the media. You left the U.S. years ago when Ellen first came to power. So you practically saw the renaissance of the media after the Civil War. Put it that way. The emerging of new radio stations, the emerging of television stations, just media outlets in the country. In fact, one of my visits to Liberia, you and I went on a media spree. Put it that way. We were
Yeah.
all over the
All
place.
over the place.
We went to Grand Bassa, we went to Kakata,
Wow.
Oh
smaller
yeah.
radio stations. Some of the
Oh yeah.
studios
Sure.
were not even studios, but they were broadcasting. We went just searching, and we saw the drive of these young people, but they didn't have the expertise, the training, the background. And I remember you and I went through, and you were trying to put some training program together to get some of those young people trained.
Sure.
Um, but by that time, when your count was in the 70s radio station, and now we're hearing more than 100 of
Yeah.
them. So
Sure.
Hassan, let's talk about the media in general in Liberia. Your perception of where is that, what these people are saying, that the media is mediocre in terms of what it should be doing, that they're not watchdogs of society, or if they are, they're only a few. A lot of these institutions are in big pockets, meaning the government, the politicians, and so forth. And so it prevents them from being ethical in the dispensation of information. How bring us up to understanding from your perspective, and your perspective should be factual, as
Someone from the
a,
ground.
a, a,
Well,
a
well,
man
you
with
see,
practical background in the media for more than 30 years.
Sure. I mean, when the guy from the Killer Beans said that, I believe it exactly because I'm a member of the media, and always, the media will love to bang on other people from other professions, but we don't see ourselves in the mirror. It's like journalism is just street talk. When you get up in the morning, you don't wash your face, and you look in the mirror. Just what your face looks like is what the mirror shows you. It doesn't show you anything else. I've been in the media for 37 years now, in broadcasting and in the print. But what the people are saying, it is true. Broadcasting is media. I mean, journalism is mediocre. Is down to the lowest ebb. Anyone can wake up at any time and say they are journalists, and I call them journalists. So what the guys were saying is true. Sometimes you find that even some of the talk show hosts, and some of the journalists are on payrolls, on government payroll. They are on the payroll of politicians to promote them, and you can see how their thinking, their perspectives on issues are slanted, towards certain things. Certain politicians don't get the kind of promotion. If certain things happen, you see that one politician, things are written in their favor, or even on the newscasts, you find that. And then some of these newspapers, I call them fly by night. They come out only when there is a big story, and then they solicit ads from these politicians, to promote them. Or some of them, the birthdays or some occasions, they do that just to blackmail, and they don't go on finding what these things are, and they just get up and run with it. I come from trained for the BBC. I haven't worked for the BBC for over 15 years. They always said it's better to be the last and get it right than to be the first and get it last and get it wrong. So the media is like that. And then you find that even so, these newspapers carry sensational headlines. Some of them do. If you look at certain newspapers, I think one or two newspapers, the telephone numbers, I think there should be 8 or 9 digit telephone numbers. You find out that the the numbers are either one digit more or one digit less. Some of them are blackmailing people. They go and collect stories and blackmail people and go back just to get money, which is bad. Some of them, when they come out to promote their backers or their supporters, then you have radio stations that are owned by politicians. Those are some of the fly by night, because once a politician is in power right now, they can support that radio station. When a politician is no longer there, the radio station dies. Or the politician or the would-be politician establishes a media institution with the hope that they will be elected. Once they fail to be elected or they are not elected, then everything dies down. So
And
what
then
happens?
sometimes they sell it to another radio station to
No,
market.
it dies naturally. They don't
Yeah,
sell
okay.
it. It dies. I mean, who's going to buy it? And then, but then the thing is that you find out that the ALJA, the Center for Media Studies by Malcolm Joseph, Internews, and the European Union, and some other organizations, they are really pumping money and training journalists and institutions about everything, fact checking, fake news, and all that sort. But still, so I ask myself, why, where is all this training going? Because the fact that the people can spend the thousands of dollars to train these people, yet and still they do the wrong things. You go to the broadcast side.
But Hassan,
I mean, yep.
if I could just come in a little bit, and thanks for the update. You have spoken a lot about the challenges. Let me just quickly say that while I do agree that there are significant challenges in the Liberian media, there are also a good number of Liberian journalists who are very professional, very ethical, and they are really doing their best. But the focus of this discussion is to really highlight the challenges and find a way out. One of the foremost challenges the Liberian media is faced with, which the three of us tonight can agree on, is the lack of media market. You have a multiplicity of media institutions in Liberia with fewer advertisers, with fewer people who are even, buying the newspapers. As a result, media institutions struggle significantly. If you have 100 radio stations, most of the radio stations barely come on. And I'm told, I was reading your Jottings from Monrovia, and I saw that you said the average reporter in Monrovia earns $75 monthly. Now, Volcano, Hassan, you tell me, someone earning $75 monthly in an economy that is compounded with inflation, isn't that man vulnerable to ethical violations?
Of
Tell me,
course,
guys.
no, of course, and that was the next thing I was about to talk about.
Yeah.
There was a huge labor problem within the media itself.
Mhm.
Media managers over the years have been there have been barrage of calls for media managers to shape up. I mean, to raise the at least the minimum wage, or to raise the salary of these people.
Mhm.
And like the government or anybody else, COVID has become something that you can just attribute anything to now. Oh, since COVID or so on. But that's BS for me, because people were making very low salaries before COVID, before even Ebola. So how would you attribute this to that? But there is easier things. But the reality is that advertisement, comes on the government is the single largest employer. Government is not advertising as much as it was before. So you will find little or so on. And then when ads come, they give it to the people of their choice, people who would, sing their praises.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, they will give to them.
So
But when it
Hassan, let
comes
me
to
let me let me just pause you there because it has been a burning issue on my mind. In this country, before I build a house in a certain community, it means that there will be the blueprint provided. The engineers, the city ordinances will have to look through all of those uh, uh, pieces
To
on
determine,
my
yeah.
building plan to make sure that what I'm about to build meet the specifications. And that's the same for Liberia, but they're not even implementing it. That's why people building in the alley, doing all of these crappy things in the country. But in the same token, when it comes to the establishment
Media.
of media outlets in the country, I believe the Ministry of Information, the
yeah,
Liberian Telecommunications Authority, these institutions are the ones that gave licenses to these radio stations. What are some of the criteria put in place that if you're going to open a radio station, here's the benchmark of how much you need to pay your staff? All of that need to be in the business proposal put forth. The number of staff, whatever media outlet you are going to be establishing, how is it going to be funded, your overhead costs, all these things should be a part of. Or just somebody just show up and say, I'm opening a radio station. Yeah, they won't cost this, bribe this one, bribe that one, bribe that one, bribe that one, at sound frequency, and we got a radio station. Hassan, let's start from there because I believe that the birth of a radio station, if it's not determined under the regulations and what should be
the
the
remuneration or so
yeah,
on.
the things that's supposed to make it uh qualified to be licensed, and all from the onset is all corruption, then of course you will get all of this crap that is happening. Low pay, bad equipment, bad broadcasting, bad televising, all of these things will come because from the onset, all of the things that's supposed to be the mechanisms to make this entity a professional licensed entity were compromised as a
But
result of
look,
bribe here,
But
bribe
but,
there,
but,
bribe
but,
there.
but
Hansa,
yeah, you see,
Hansa, Volcano, let me say, you guys not being fair to our colleagues in print. Please include print the
no,
newspapers. Yeah, because
I
you
said
guys are
media
you
outlet.
guys are laying too much emphasis on
no, we're
broadcasting.
including
No.
print.
I said media outlet. I
Yeah,
said
media, yeah, media,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, let me keep talking about radio station, radio station.
because it's a
No,
Go
it's from a
ahead,
place
man.
of
Go
a
ahead.
broadcast
The
the reason
background.
why,
Go ahead, Hansa.
the reason why I was trying to talk about radio station, I was
Yeah,
trying to talk about radio station,
yeah.
then I go to the print.
Okay,
Yeah, because I want to take it, step by step. And by the
okay.
way, and by the way, when I talk about journalists, and I also talk about talk show hosts. And by the way, talk show hosts are not journalists.
No, they are not.
They are not journalists at all.
Mhm.
But journalists can be talk show hosts.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to make that distinction before, because a lot of talk show hosts are being called journalists when they are not journalists, But because they have loud mouths, they can talk, they know the issues, and they know how to do the spins. So people consider them journalists, and they also, when in fact they are not journalists. But on the broadcast side, like I said, people establishing, because I wonder how these people are establishing these institutions, and this institution, because to establish a broadcast institution, the Ministry of Information and the Liberia Telecommunication should have a hand in that, to give you a license, to give you the green light to establish your organization. Also, in the media, both general, there are no standards as to who becomes a journalist. And we keep bragging about things, we are the fourth estate, and we are this, we are that. So, no, let me tell you something. Journalism in Liberia is in the toilet. I mean, I'm sorry to say that. I'm a journalist myself, so I cannot be talking about other professions or other people doing stuff, and then I keep my backyard. My backyard is dirty. I can't say my backyard is dirty. We are all in the profession and we want to make it better, but there are no standards. Anyone can wake up today, as long as you think your nouns and verbs can agree, which they don't even agree.
A lot of time, there's
no
no
agreement.
agreement.
Look, 75% of the time they don't agree. There are some radio stations. Yeah, they attach importance to quality. And let me give kudos to LBS. I mean, not because I came from LBS. LBS is doing very extremely well, as is OKFM and a few radio stations.
But you would say Sky too with Martin Brown.
Yeah,
that's
what I say. As Sky FM with Martin Brown, maybe Truth FM, and a few other ones that are scattered, outside of Monrovia. But when you come to the media, I mean, everybody just becomes a journalist overnight. So I call them journalists. You have newspapers that only, like I said, they only come out once.
Hassan, Moses, my concern there has to do with what is the essence of licensing all of these quack, radio, newspaper, all of these things, if they don't meet the standard? Is there a standard for licensure? I can just walk.
I think there are requirements for that by the Ministry of.
But I don't think many of these institutions that are starting off meeting the requirement.
Yeah, I can't put my finger to any of those right now. I will stand, but the frequencies, of course, you have to meet certain benchmarks from the LTA before you assign frequencies. And the Ministry of Information, of course, those
benchmarks. Those benchmarks include the bribe money too.
Now we can't speak.
But let's be practical, because then it comes back to the point that I'm making, that some of the institutions that are established, that they can't pay the people, that is substandard, then shouldn't be established. That means that money change hands. It's practical.
Look, and you go to some of these media houses.
Let me add this quick. I work for an organization. My organization go through an annual scrutiny every year.
Yep.
By the state. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have our pieces together, we can lose our license.
Of course. And when you lose your license, you do what?
Why is that not happening to kind of eliminate some of these unnecessary media institutions? Annual inspections by the very institutions that qualify them to run. But we're not doing anything in our country.
Volcano.
I'm coming, Moses. I'm coming. You're coming. We are not doing anything in our country. We take a country and we say we have a country. We come to this country. We learn all of the good things. We get back over there, and it just becomes business as usual.
Yeah.
You and I know it. Who has ever gone to LBS to evaluate LBS standard and say, wait a minute, this area you're lacking, you need to step up here. We'll give you 90 days. probation, if it's not corrected, will shut you down. LBS. Who
It's
does
the
it for
truth.
any other media institution? That is why people, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can establish a media institution, substandard, cannot provide for his employees, cannot even upkeep the entity, and they say they're running. You see, that's the point I'm making. So if you tell me here that it's accusatory, I would say, okay, I'm accusing that bribe is going on. That's why all of these substandard institutions are coming to light and they cannot sustain. And
I think
everyone is
And
depending on the same one little market, that everyone going after the government, in particular, the few businesses to ever. You know what? You know, I was in a conversation. I'm coming, you're coming. I was in a conversation just yesterday. Somebody told me that ArcelorMittal is now the new advertising machinery. So everyone going there to get a piece of the pie. Everyone. They're the one now advertising most. So you do a good job for ArcelorMittal, you get good chunk because they've been in the news lately. But these are the kinds of things that compromise the ethics of what we do. That's the point I want to make.
but
Volcano, you are right. You are right because I mean, you find out that if a top business organizations, let's say ArcelorMittal or MPA or LPROC, and a newspaper is actually publishing stories that are in the best interest of the government or the people, but not in the interest of the management sees it the other way, then of course they will not get advertisement. And let me piggyback on the point that you made earlier on, and which is a valid point. I think if the Ministry of Information or the LTA were making evaluations, annual evaluations, then they will get to know some of these the problems confronting some of these people. Because come to look at it, some of the radio stations are operating from zinc shack. Some of the radio stations are operating from one room. Some of the radio stations are operating from mud houses. You know, I must give this boy kudo, Papa Morris from Banga, who is a correspondent for ELBC. He has a radio critique. He has built a modern, a standard building. If you see it, even some of the radio stations in Monrovia don't even look even closer to that. They even look
look,
better. Not even
uh,
closer to that.
if I
So,
if
so, so,
I
so
if I if I can just come in a little bit, gentlemen.
go ahead.
You guys have said a lot, and and Volcano, like we always say, our greatest problem in Liberia is the failure to adhere to the rule of law. There are laws, there are regulations on how institutions can be established, print and broadcast. Are those laws being enforced? And if those laws are not being enforced, then something is going wrong. I don't want to say someone is taking money because I don't have the evidence, but that's one of our greatest weaknesses. We don't enforce the laws of the country. People who are in position of trust to a greater extent are compromised. They don't enforce the laws. So if you're going to give a radio operational license to someone who has a zinc shot, who cannot even, show you a bank statement of $50,000 to run a radio station, then what are you doing? So if this guy cannot even afford $20,000, who is he going to hire as a broadcaster?
But
Who
but
is
but
this
but,
guy
but, but,
going to
but
hire?
Moses,
Yes,
but
but
Moses, I mean,
yeah,
sorry for cutting you, but
yeah.
the thing is
I
that
say, yeah,
mhm.
answer the main question. Pay Edward say, what is the relationship between the structure of the station and the quality or integrity of the information? So Zinshak
The
radio
answer,
station
the
can
answer.
operate.
so you see, look, the
Yeah,
thing is that
mhm.
the quality, there are no qualities. The quality,
Yeah. So there's no quality.
there's no quality. So when I say Zinsha, because when I started my statement and I said journalism is at the lowest ebb, that means it's in the toilet. Many people coming on board are all joined the list. They are not journalists. So I've made that clear. So to say what's the difference between the zinc shark relationship,
It's just
between
that
the
you're not doing
zinc shark
professional work, yeah.
and the
And listen, that's a very good point from Singer Governor Fua. He said, just close Facebook in Liberia for 1 month, then we'll see the real radio station. Very important.
no, he is right.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Many of these radio stations, they collect their news from Facebook. Some of the radio stations, so if they collect their news from Facebook, they
Not
read
just the
Facebook.
news, the content.
Yeah, their content from Facebook. They quote the Facebook. So and he's right. So you see,
And you code Facebook?
yes, look, but you just saw
It's
somebody
like quoting
posted, and
Wikipedia.
if somebody can say that, of course, and the thing is
research
that
work.
I'm trying to be honest here, but I think because I'm a journalist, I like for my organization or me blame me for what I do, and I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be the one telling people that they are bad when I'm bad and I can't talk about it. I think it's disservice. I think some of these blame, we need to apportion some of these blame to the president of Liberia too, our mother organization.
Yeah.
There are no standards. For instance, if you go to the bar, okay, the bar has a standard as to who becomes a member of the bar, the procedure, what you do, the test, and so on. But for somebody can just wake up in the morning and probably they do high school special, and thankfully, I'm the one coordinating high school special in Liberia, along with Vama Kamara, who is doing a fantastic job, and Youth Media Action. Somebody can just wake up right after high school because Hassan Kiawu or Vama Kamara have put their own ELBC radio to broadcast every Saturday, or we're giving them some training. They become journalists already, and they are hired because people do not want to pay for quality, so they pay for mediocrity. So as a mediocrity.
Moses and Hassan, I think we've covered the media piece.
Yeah, but
a whole lot.
Quickly, let me just add something on there.
Okay.
The way forward in resolving this problem is we need media merger, meaning that people with the same media philosophy pull their resources together, hire qualified and competent people.
One of the way forward. One of the
ways forward. That's one of the way forward.
I know you're talking about media merger. If you talk about media merger, then there are a lot of things you need to merge in Liberia. Then you got to merge.
I'm just looking at how we can solve this problem.
Then you got to merge a lot of the churches too.
Right now my focus is the media. I agree.
You have merged a lot of the mosques. You have merged a lot of the churches. Because you see that one church is just about a stone throw.
Yeah, but let's stay on.
Just making a scene because you didn't even know who is making noise.
So as I was saying, one of the surest way is the merger. If Hassan, Volcano, Shelton, Moses, and they have the resources, they're all thinking the right way. It's okay. Yeah, go ahead, Volcano.
Agree. Merger is one of the things, but the ego,
merger is one of them.
The ego in the room has never made mergers to work. It's happening right now in the CPP.
Exactly.
So let's disregard merger, but let's come to the fact.
Okay,
so I'm coming. Let me give my fact. Let
me
give my one opinion. You're coming. What I said here is that the Ministry of Information, the Liberia Telecommunications Authority, Telecom, whoever, outside of them must have a regulatory board of media institutions and institutions in general, not just radio stations, but all of media institutions, set absolute standards with check marks that these new entrepreneurs who want to establish must meet. No bribing. And then do an annual review of what they're doing, making sure that they're meeting the standards, that they're paying their employees well, that the news outlet are functioning, and if they have to make amends, they come back. The license can be changed to modify where they are, and if they're not meeting that, shut them down.
You shut them down.
Have all the paperwork to show that this is not witch hunting, that you're not closing a radio station down or a news outlet because you don't like it as the government. You will show the evidence that you've done due diligence in the process to give them the opportunity, these media outlets to improve in those areas where they are falling. But that would be my take on it. Rather than just have everybody wake up every day and open a radio station because they think that they can do that. That would
So,
be
and
my
so,
and
so,
thought.
so,
and
so, so,
and,
so if
and
we're gonna say,
yeah,
Then you set
let's do,
standards also for your employees. The person
yes,
who's going to run the institution must have media background. You know, some of the people who work in there, rather than take somebody and just say because you can speak, like Hassan said, you got a little subject verb agreement. So now you're a broadcaster
yeah,
or a
and and,
newscaster
and,
always
and,
come
and
on.
those subjects I don't
and I
even
agree.
agree most of the
Yeah.
Yeah,
time.
and
But
So
and
but then there's another one. One
that
before
would
you
be my
come in,
thought.
go ahead.
let me come in before if we come in. But then also, the employees too, because okay, that's one side of it about the institutions. But then what about the people who are running the institution or who are supposed to be employees of the institutions and they are mediocre? So I
That's
think
just what we're
so, so,
coming to.
But I
Yeah.
just added that
Mhm.
in. I
yeah,
added
so
that
I think
in.
the Ministry of Information and the President of Liberia and thank God, you know, there are three institutions in Liberia that are teaching journalism at the university level. You have the uh, United Methodist University, you have the AME, and you have the University of Liberia. Aside from those, because those are 4-year college degree programs, but the bare minimum, you could say, you know what? Get a certificate from a recognized training institution. For instance, one of the best, if I mean the best training institution in journalism right now is the Peter Kwekwe School of Journalism under the Media Foundation, which is handled by Titus Tukpa, and he has quality. He has people with master's degree who are teaching there. So a certificate from a 9 month or year program, I think the bare minimum to say you have a certificate or you have a diploma in journalism, the bare minimum, which is, I mean, that's acceptable. But when someone just comes from anywhere, you just take the person because the person can speak, can spin some kind of music, you take them to be DJs. They come as DJs, then you say, you know what, my man, see on the radio already, you can read news, and the guy who is telling the man to read news does not even read news, does not even know what is news, how to read news, and that's why when I even posted recently, on Facebook, why are media managers or media institutions sitting there and allowing their people to just say, and not training their people? They don't do post mortem. They don't train them when they make mistakes. They just let it roll. And then my good friend Maureen here she said something. She said, "Look, Hassan, you can't give what you don't have,"
That's
and it
true.
speaks volume. That means
Hmm.
that they meet some of the media managers themselves. They don't know jack. They don't know a thing. So how can you correct somebody when
When
yourself
you
you don't
said no,
know?
no.
So it's an appalling situation, and this we need to correct. And like Volcano
So
said,
so let
some of
me
these
just
media
piggyback.
institutions, we,
Let
we
me just
need to have.
piggyback
But
on what you
Moses,
said, Hassan.
Moses,
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
gonna
Hmm.
stay on this topic or we're gonna move. It's 8 o'clock. I gotta
No,
go
we're
to
Okay.
gonna
the
move on. We're
commercial.
Yeah.
gonna move
Okay.
on. We just
Let's move. Let's
we just
move on
put,
to
we just
another
putting the
topic.
icing
Yeah.
on the cake
we,
now.
we can come back
Yeah.
to this
No,
Okay.
because
we just put we just want to put
this
the
is
icing on the cake.
voluminous.
We already
I mean,
we
you
already
think
baked
about
the
it.
cake, so we just want to put
Yeah.
icing on
Okay.
the cake. You
Okay.
All
know.
right, this is where the issues are discussed, the things that matter. Welcome to the issues room. If you're here for the first time, I see some new faces in the house. Pay Edward, single governor Fua. Make this your media platform. Unfortunately, we're on social media. We're not in a zinc shack, but we're on social media, and we try to
Yeah.
do the best we can to make sure that our conversation is tailored for our audience and to make make you understand where we're coming from and how much passionate we are about the things we discuss here in the issues room. Washington Boca, good evening, welcome. Eskandakai Masale, Jackie Bruce, Thomas Awaji, good to have you back here. Uzondo Isianyi, thank you for being a regular. Jamali, Mike Ture, it's good to have you in the house. Welcome, 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 all you good people. Welcome. Tomalin George from
Yeah. Spoon talk.
Spoon
Yeah, from
Talk.
Spunto, yeah, yeah,
Welcome,
yeah.
Yeah.
Our
welcome.
very
We
good
honor
friend.
being
Yeah.
there.
Welcome
Good
to
to have all
Malin.
of you folks. Steve Banks from Philadelphia. Welcome, welcome. The Issues Room is on at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesdays and Fridays, on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the Issues Room page. Joseph Zize. Hi, gentlemen. He says, welcome, Zize. How you doing? The brother from Philadelphia. Prince Moivi Jacobs also in the house with us. Our conversation is centered around tonight the Jottings from the Motherland, a three-part series narrative put together by Hassan Kiawu from his recent experience. We talked about the killer bean and public transportation in general, and we just covered the media piece. But we'll come back to the media piece at some other time because, again, like Hassan said, he's right. We can't talk about other politicians. We can talk about other professions. We can talk about other, you know, practitioners when we don't scrutinize ourselves and clean up our own acts. And a lot has to be done with media, practices in Liberia. And again, I believe from my personal, and this is not a statement from the issues room, but from my personal opinion, the reason for all of this happening because monies are changing hand. And if they put the mechanisms in place to change it through authentic annual scrutiny and holding accountable those institutions that they're establishing or giving license to be established, then we can make a difference. That would be for training, that would be for equipment, that would be for salary, that would be for personnel. All of that come together would make the difference because I've seen it work for me here working in the US. We go on annual
Yeah,
scrutiny
I
and very,
know.
very thorough and detailed.
Review,
But Hassan,
inspection.
let's go to, and I wanted to leave this part, but I don't think I want us to dwell on it too long. You talk about the status of the young women in Liberia, um, and I thought this is also important because these are our young people, and I've said here repeatedly that folks from the 1990 born between say 85 to 90 were 5 years old, but just say 90 to now 32, 31, 32 years old. They know nothing about the normal times of Liberia and what our societal values were, the core values of how our young women used to carry themselves. Unfortunately, this is not the case in Liberia today. Uh, when you go to Liberia right now, all of the drinking spots are crowded. You don't have no way to check ages and all of that. Look, young women who are 13, 14 years old have turned into women. They're dressing so, provoking and
Yeah.
so forth. But you try to describe the morphology of some of them. Come in and tell us and how this impacts our
So
image as a nation, especially when we have a gender ministry. Let's tie the politics in. What is a gender ministry doing to go to some of these places and say, hey, this child is minor, or you need to be here with ID card, like we do here in the US. If we say we're practicing after America, then most of the things we do in Liberia, we must do. When these
You
young
see,
people come into the club, they must show ID. But again, some of the clubs are so open era. Everybody's
But
staying
but
on the
but
side.
but but, but
So,
you know, a volcano, a very salient question you asked. But
mhm,
the challenge here is the ability to enforce that.
there you go.
The gender ministry doesn't have that. I'm being
well,
honest.
well, well,
You
here's
know,
here's the
yeah,
thing.
hmm
In years past, the
yeah,
Commerce Ministry had issued stern warnings to
Drinking
clubs,
spots.
drinking spots that look at before someone can go to your spot to even buy alcohol, let alone consume, they should be of age, which is 18 or so. It should be adult age.
hmm
But
should be
none of
21 right there.
yeah, but yeah, I think 18 or so. Once you're because in Liberia we say when you are 18, you're an adult. But that is not the case anymore. So anyone goes to the drinking spot, you find kids drinking, and to be honest with you, women drink more in Liberia than men. You go to
Where's the
every drinking
study?
spot.
Any research on that?
I mean,
Even look
I
at the
stand to be
table being
corrected,
spread.
but
Look
I
at the
mean,
table.
you can see the number of women sitting at a particular table or at tables. You
So
go
look
to
at it,
drinking,
30 tables are right.
yeah,
Come on,
you go,
man.
look. I've been to when I went there. I went to these side back clubs as well. I walk, but I don't drink. You know that I don't drink. I don't smoke. So and go and sit and watch. And some of the reasons why you see I wrote these things because I sat down, I watched, and I disguised myself. People didn't know I was Hassan Kiawu because I've been off the limelight for a little while. Meanwhile, people
Yeah,
knew my face or so.
yeah.
So I'll go to a drinking parlor, and I will see a table surrounded by, let's say, about 5 or 6 or 7 persons. And of the 6 or 7 persons, you've got about 5 persons are women and two
Hassan,
persons are men. And that's
Hassan,
because,
let me make this point quick to our listeners and viewers. We'll go 2 hours tonight because the conversation is good. We'll open the lines at 8:30, so we'll have 25 minutes more of discussion. We'll open
yeah,
the lines at 8:30 because I know some of you out there want to call in. So
Yeah,
continue,
yeah,
that's
Hassan.
yeah.
good.
So you see that you have more people sitting around because a friend is calling a friend is calling a friend, and sometimes this guy makes these ladies make arrangements for their male friends. Say, for instance, if I'm a lady and I want to get engaged or get hooked up with a girl, and then so I said back over there, our friend coming there, come or so now, and the guy names for them. They say, my
The
man,
December, yeah.
yeah, they say no, that was junk, or they call it our, and when they say that was junk,
Hey,
it
what
means
does
that
that mean? What does that mean, our junk?
when you say our
Yeah.
junk means no, that belly or anything we can do anything, we can do anything to him. I mean,
Okay.
with him, we can say we can fool him to do something, or this is the guy that we
This is
can
our
script
junk.
from, or so on. So you
Okay.
see a lot of these things happening.
And interestingly, you're right because you go to pick up the girl is there with 5 friends.
Yeah, of course, 5 friends.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because they were with 5 friends, and all these 5 friends have been spoken. They've been spoken for. So
Okay.
yeah, they call their friends back, kind of the Julia, Man, waiting for. Say, okay, you're just for me sport. You're just be drinking. I will come, and
Okay.
they come. They pick them up and go, and it happens. It happens a whole lot. So the ladies are there. I mean, every drinking spot, but let me not forget about the young boys too, because we have a big social problem. And I'm saying this because I know for a fact we have these young people who do not go to school. They've abandoned school because they must ride keke or ride pempen. And guess what they do? Some of these keke riders, these are all honor age. Many of them are honor age. So these keke riders, every keke rider has a room. Yeah, everybody has a room.
And so, what's the purpose of that room?
No, I mean they rent a room because it's a dwelling place. Generally, you have an apartment.
Okay.
For them, they have a room,
Hmm.
and then every keke rider or a pempe rider has a helper. So that means and I'm saying that because I have 4 kekes, I have 2 pempens,
Okay.
and I'll talk to the guys, and even I had to sack 2 of my keke riders because I went in the traffic. They didn't know I would go after them, and I saw helpers riding my keke, and I took the key away. And so I know what goes on. So what they do is that they take helpers because they must break around 12 o'clock to go to their houses with their girlfriend to have sex. The
Okay.
teenagers to have sex. Then they come back and they come back. So this guy would drive from 12 midday to about 3 o'clock, and then whatever money he makes, he gives it to the guy, the original driver,
Mhm.
and then he gives him little tip. Then he makes a report to them,
Okay.
and
Okay.
you find out that also. That's how we have these social problems. But why we have these social problems, the police also is there. That's another big problem. Now the police is there, packing these boys and extorting money from them. Guess what? When the police packs you, you know how much you can ask for? Ask you for 1,500 to $2,000 liberty before they
Okay.
can release the keke.
So Hassan, let's come back a little bit to the young women.
Yeah.
I was reading through your reports and I noticed that you made reference to the young women,
Yo, the way they dress,
uh,
I can
yeah,
describe it.
they dress in such an enticing way,
Yeah, of
and
course.
then when they get to know you, there are multiple requests, they want iPhone, my birthday is coming, and
You
you
know what
have
they do?
all these extra demands. Explain that for us a little bit.
Well,
How
okay.
does it work in Monrovia?
So you meet a young girl in Liberia or
Mhm.
in Monrovia,
Yeah,
because they always say in Liberia, dress to impress.
yeah.
So they wear these tightly fitted clothes, pants, Usually, these provocative colors, the
Yeah.
attractive colors like yellow, white pants,
Mhm.
purple pants, and just these colors, and they cut their butt tight in it, or a skirt or so on. And then they have what we call the food minister cut their breast, so that it will show, and then it will be showing, and sometimes you might see the nipple somewhere in the provocative or this see-through or transparent clothing.
Yeah.
They call that the chest, cocking the chest and with the breast showing up. They call the food minister because the
Okay.
minister is attractive. It's just a slang to say
Yeah.
these are what the
The enticement.
enticing people or so on. But
Yeah.
the way the tightly fitted clothing, and they attract these people, and then once they attract them, they go and have fun. People who went to Liberia in December, the Decemberists can relate because they have so many of those, and so many of those too, they damage some homes because they are coming from America and they have the money. Liberia will call it cash violence. When you have money and you can use your money to influence somebody's decision, or to marginalize somebody, you call that cash violence. I don't know why they call it cash violence because there's no violence in it, but the fact that you use money to your advantage,
Yeah.
so they call it cash violence. And so that's how the ladies are. And you find out young ladies are selling their bodies for little or nothing.
So
Just because,
are you implying that prostitution is very prevalent in Liberia?
yeah, it's not an organized prostitution. It's not
Okay.
an organized prostitution per se, like
Hmm.
you have it in the
I
States
think I think the
where you,
term here should be more promiscuity uh,
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
context.
but it's
Uh,
it's
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
commercial, you know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, of course,
yeah,
it's yeah. I mean, it's commercial.
yeah.
Prostitution is, of course, is commercial. You find that promiscuity is high in Liberia. But I tell you one story before we even jump off the other story.
Hmm.
In 2011, when I went to Liberia, I went to GSA Road intersection, and then while I was in the car sitting down, then the driver said, around 10 o'clock, 10:30, and I asked the driver, I said, what are these kids doing outside? It's time for them to go to bed because they got to go to school tomorrow. The guy said, Papi, leave the children there. The children go to school. The children hustle. And I said, hustle for what?
What are you talking
He said
about?
the children are prostitutes. I didn't believe it. He said, okay, Papi, let me call one of them for you. So he called a young girl. This girl was, I think, about between 14 to 15 years old. So, so as the driver called him to the car, and I heard her say, Chime, Chime, your way up, mama going to look for you to come feed you.
Hmm.
And I heard from afar. So when she came, I said, so ma, what you say? I said, oh, Papa, leave where you. So how much you will charge me? He
Oh,
said, Papa, I just walk in the heaven. I thought it was $150.
US dollar, yeah.
It was 150 Liberty.
Mhm.
At the time, the US rate was, I think, I think $80 or $90 to one US
So,
dollar.
so that's
So,
hypothetically $2 US.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So in essence, this was I think a dollar 10 cents US.
Okay.
That she wanted to sleep with me. So I told her, I said, "Ma, I beg you. You know the Papa now. Papa will not stay long, and Papa, and you be my regular customer. So, okay, Papa, anything you get to me. So how much now? Papa, you get a boxer, no problem. Say I'll be your customer. Woman, come, 100 Liberty. So I said, okay, let me come back. Let me go to the station and come back. I forgot my wallet, and I began to cry when the driver was taking me back. Then the guy said, Papa, what are you crying for? I said, I'm crying because I have a niece like that. I have my daughter like that. For that, my daughter to tell me that she will
Yeah.
give her body to me for 100 Liberty,
Yeah.
which is equivalent of one US dollar, I cried. So it's
and
still going on.
Hassan, that story is factual. I was born on GSA Road, right on GSA
Good.
Road, and lately going back to Liberia, GSA Road and I is the hub of crime,
Oh, yes.
prostitution. That beautiful neighborhood has turned
Yeah.
into that. That very junction you're talking about, that's the story I've heard. You know, you can't even walk that place if you're not if you're not ordinary. because they can read you. They know
Oh yes.
those guys are
Oh yes.
stabbing people at GSA Junction
At night?
intersection. Yes, yes.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen it happen live. My cousins
Wow.
advised me not to stay on GSA Road late. I have to
Yeah.
leave GSA Road like early evening, like when it's still light on the
Yeah.
maybe like around 6:37 to drive away. I tell you true story. Those
Yeah.
guys put
It's true.
nails on the 2x2 and put it under my tire. Put it
Oh,
under my tire. It was just God
and
that I
while you
was
were
hanging.
about to leave.
Yes, so my tire can puncture. Then I'll be stranded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. So it's not just the prostitution, but it's also the crime. And I was going to go there with him because the pimping boys, a lot of those pimping boys who are riding, they are the criminals. They're
They
jacking.
are the conduit because they
Yeah,
use them. They use them to get away. Those are the getaway. Those are the getaway. And then again, one thing I was surprised that when I went to Liberia, I'm surprised that the government has allowed because the government has allowed the pimping boys to come back in the streets, and then when they hit your when they hit your car, when they hit your car, they will tell you, Papa, are your son, are your this, are your that. But when you hit their pimping or even injure them, everybody is coming to attack you to even burn your car, and everybody sit there, nobody does anything.
But
And,
look, Hassan,
yeah.
while you're discussing that, they are just taking on to the next phase of our discussion. Traffic in Monrovia.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, help us
Tra-
learn a bit about that.
Traffic in Monrovia, there is a third lane. Everybody takes a third lane.
Okay.
And a third lane is an illegal lane, which is, somebody you in your lane on the other side, someone is taking one of your lanes.
Yeah.
So that means that two lanes going one way, another two lanes going the other way. But some drivers just deliberately leave their lanes to jump in to occupy one lane of the other two lanes because they are rushing. Every Liberian is impatient. They are as impatient as the pimping themselves. So they go and the police does nothing. Police will attempt to say, okay, we stop this person. And sometimes somebody will just make a phone call and say, somebody want to speak to you. And they say, my man, leave that car. And the person goes.
Or someone will call and talk to the police officer on site.
yes. The person who violated the traffic rule.
The person
Yeah.
whose car has been impounded because
Yeah.
the person whose car has been impounded because they took the third lane.
Yeah.
So then they know some higher up.
Yeah.
And then they make a phone call. Then they say, somebody want to talk to you. Some police officer will say, I don't want to talk to anybody. They say, get a phone to the man. And then get him and say, hey, release that man. Release that man car. And then also,
So is that the level at which policing in Liberia has been reduced? So
it's been like that for a long time. It's been like that for a long time. But I do remember President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf punished an assistant minister, I think another person again, because a police officer stabbed them and they disobeyed the police officer and they tried to either beat the police officer up, or they said they were not going to abide because they are this, they are that, and she took stringent measures against them. But the traffic is so huge. There's a third lane, and then also I even encountered something in that anywhere there's police officer in Liberia, there's traffic. You would think there will be law order, and guess what? You found 5, 6, 7 police officers standing in one place. Guess what they are doing? They're extorting money from drivers, taxis, or buses. They are not doing anything. All they do, that's what they do. 540, which is where the ministerial complex is, they are plenty there. You find that they are at Vamoma. You find that they are at 20th Street where the traffic light is. One a bypass near Crusaders for Peace. And then you find a Caldwell Junction. Douala is a mess. And EW Junction, SKD Boulevard is a mess. Imagine 2 years ago, President George Weah was stranded in the traffic at SKD Boulevard for almost 20 to 30 minutes.
really?
President George Weah was stranded. That to show how unprofessional, how
Hassan, this is
ineffective police
Hassan,
officers are.
I don't want to cut you, Hassan.
The traffic has never stopped.
Hassan, I don't want to cut you off. And Volcano, tell me, isn't this unbelievable? The president stuck in traffic
President stuck in traffic
for 30 minutes?
because the police failed
Wow.
or police is inefficient, they sit there. Look. I've seen
But
where
Hassan,
the police, there's a
Volcano.
huge
Hassan,
traffic jam, and the police just walks away. Say, okay, say you do it. You're going, and we'll see how high it will go, and they will move on
Hassan,
it. Yes.
Hassan, let me come in quick. You
Wow.
see SKD Boulevard?
Yeah.
SKD Boulevard is a breeding ground for stampede, traffic stampede.
Of course.
From ELW Junction to SKD Boulevard, my brother, it'll take you more than an hour and a half. That's a walking distance,
Yeah, it is.
less than half a mile. It'll take you more than an hour and a half to cross
course.
over on the Congo Town side
Yep.
because everybody drives anyhow. There's
So
no
like no
patience
one's
that
in
does-
charge, oh?
Nobody's in charge. Nobody.
No.
Listen.
If somebody's in charge, they will all run the police officer because Pen is making his way. Texas, like he said, he's talking about the third lane. I call it the fifth lane. Sometimes the man will take you off the road. You the oncoming
Completely, yeah.
traffic, you
And
have to
sometimes
come
they
off
take
the
the
road.
look. And where he's talking about the SKD Boulevard,
Yeah.
so from ELW to SKD Boulevard, people even take 4 lanes, occupy 4 lanes, and literally drive the other incoming lane.
And Hassan, let me explain this quick. From ELW Junction, you got 4 lanes coming to SKD Boulevard, but the people from town, then they take over 4 lane coming this way from town. So that the people coming from work coming this way, the people coming from ELW, red light, all those places
going to town.
converging and
They're
coming.
going to town.
Yeah, going to town. So SKD Boulevard becomes the stop
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congested,
So-
very
So you got
congested.
4 cars coming from the Morovia side, and only 1 lane from SKD going back to ELW Junction. Then you got 4 cars coming, 4 lane coming from ELW Junction. So how do they go? And then some
Yeah.
people want to turn to go to what they call the Boulevard to go to
And
the second way.
And the road
police
is narrow.
And the police
No,
has got
it's not that
and the
narrow.
police, and the
It's just
police has
that
got
it's
no
just
answer
crazy.
for them. And the police has got no answer for them. The police, and sometimes I sit there and I ask them, look here, you guys sit yourself here all the time. Why is it that the traffic is not managed? You sit here, throughout the traffic. But guess what? What happens in Douala? You know, on 3 occasions.
Douala, I'm not going that way.
Look,
The thing that happened to me in Douala. I was trying to go to Cape
Okay,
Town.
what happened to you?
Just 1 minute. Let me explain my story. I was trying to go to Cape Town. I took off, got to, and the other thing that Ellen did too, I want to say, well, you want to make beautification, you don't expand the road. Carway Junction, why they put all the little design in the road? They play already tight. So that in itself is where the traffic starts.
Yeah.
But from that point, my brother, to get to St. Paul Bridge,
Yeah.
it took more than 5 hours.
Right between there?
Right between the Pen. I say the Pen, they were on me. They were just hitting the car, my man. Bam, 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 bam. I thought, you know how you got the locusts.
Yes.
The locusts, the swarm take over you. There's no way. And if you can't drive, you just sit there and freeze.
Wow.
So you got to be pushing them, they're pushing you, pushing them. By the time I left and went to inspect the car, little dents were all over the car because no control. These boys are ruthless. I'm telling you. They can't tell the pimping. Any little gap, they will force themselves. Any little gap.
And guess what happens? At the call at the Simiris intersection, if somebody wants to prove me wrong, let them just go and sit there and watch. They've got about almost 5-6 police officers. And what the police officers do is that they collect money from the keke riders, so that they will allow them to make a U-turn. Now the place is already congested. If you try to make a U-turn, then you block people from coming, people from going. So right there, the road that comes from Nuclear Town, it ends right there at St. Mary's. So the black traffic and the police, and I've seen this so many times. I've interviewed people, even paper riders or even the keke drivers for ERBC radio. I've broadcasted, and they've told me, now look here, sometimes we turn around here because we don't want to go far away. We have to turn around and we have to give the police some money. And I've seen police officers stretching his hand. I mean, they do it in the open. There's no order, no law and order. Police is not reprimanded, nothing. Then you talk about, then you see that they are bunched right to St. Mary's, about 5, 6, 7 of them. Then if you went to Momotown Junction in the corner of Club Beer Factory, they are also there. All they do is to collect money. And I have seen this so many times. I mean, everybody who lives around that area will see it. Then on Saturday, they call it German Pay Day. You know what German Pay Day is? That's when anybody you
drop
try
there.
you pay 1,005 or 2,000, 1,005 or 1,005 or 2,000 per arrest. Per arrest.
But then there's summarizing Monrovia for us tonight.
Per arrest. You get that, But you know, and that's just the police. But what about the banks? Let me tell you about
now
the banks.
if I hear you now, take us to the banks.
Let me take you to the bank.
Yeah.
Slow
down. Let me remind the callers. I will soon post the number to call. But yeah, we're talking about the crisis, the functionality of our society, and is scaring. It's serious. I was talking to a friend of mine. The person said they've never seen so many motorboys in Liberia, and every day those useless Indian people, and I say useless in the context of the Liberian way of speaking.
Yeah.
They're importing nothing and coming, my man.
Oh yeah, because that's why y'all can afford to buy now.
No.
Do you bring the Indians?
I wouldn't call them. No. They are contributing. The Indians.
No, what I'm saying,
they are contributing immensely.
I understand, but what
There
I'm
are
saying,
there are no regulations.
No, that man's just kidding. The man's just kidding. Yeah.
I'm not seeing it in any kind of
he's kidding.
Insulting way. But what I'm seeing is that where's the regulations now?
There are none.
They think too much. At some point, the Ministry of Commerce and the government need to say, all right, just slow down. Let somebody want to spoil and bring you one. Because it's
uncontrollable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's scary.
And guess what? I saw new types or new models of keke. I saw new models of the TVS because they love the TVS motorbike.
Yeah, the TVS, and then the other one they call it. Hey, what a motorbike they call it, man? The motorbike they call it with a black exhaust. That a big motorbike now.
Oh yeah,
the one with black exhaust.
But anyway, let
me take us to the banks.
Let me talk about the banks.
Yeah, go to the bank.
For the last 3 years, I thought our people in the financial sector or the banks would have gotten things right. 2018. It started 2018, 2019, where in October there are long queues going to the ATMs. There are no money in the ATM at all. Money at the ATM, but you find long queues, and people stay in the long queues for long hours before they can even get to ATM or even get inside. And sometimes by the time you get inside, you already exhausted or they say money finished. I was told by somebody from UBA one time that look at they deposit $10,000 in the ATM per day. Per day. So it makes it much more difficult for people to get money. And then I'm thinking that if the first year it happened that way, they should get it right, because people usually in Liberia in December is when people who post susu, try to get the money to distribute the money. But now the problem is that many people who have susu are keeping the money in their houses, and the thieves are coming there and stealing those money. Because if you put your money into the banks, if you don't take it as early as say October or early November, you may not get it. And so you may not get it. And sometimes you go to get money from the bank will tell you, I can give you this is how much I can give you, because other people gotta get small too. And sometimes you gotta bribe them. But then here is the thing. They said there are 10 persons allowed inside the banking hall. A group of people standing outside waiting to be ushered in. And then all you see is that somebody is calling on the phone, calling for security. Yeah, let that man come in. Security, let that man come in. Security, let that man come in. So you have already monitored, because they are calling their business people who will give them money, or they are calling their relatives to circumvent the rules. So they enter the banking hall, and then you standing in line. Like I went there, I stood there patiently. Somebody told me about Hassan, but then Hassan Kiawu lie here. I said, no. This man in front of me may have something much more important than me. I'm just Hassan Kiawu, I know, but you know what? Let me go through it.
Yeah.
But little they didn't know that I was going through it just for the experience. I have done that so many times. So it was my turn to enter. I entered the banking hall. I was the second in line. I'm standing there, and for more than 30 minutes, this lady on the phone, talking to a friend.
So you talking? Are you talking about the teller?
The
The
teller,
bank? Okay.
bank teller, I'm in the banking hall. Man, let me lay on you what happened last night. Let me give you the G's. The G's, it can choke, it got yoke, it can
And you
choke.
on a queue waiting for this lady.
I'm in the queue, and he's giving this slang. I got a G's. It got yoke. It can choke. That's a new slang. Because you see.
So what does that mean? How do you explain that? It can
Okay,
choke.
so
I
it
got
got
a
G's.
G's. Yeah. What is that?
That means it got yoke. It can choke. That means that it is fascinating.
Okay.
It is so sweet. It is so nice. So you can't afford to miss it.
Wow.
So they're on the talking. And after 5 minutes talking, I said, man, excuse me. There's no customer service. I need my money. I need to get out of here. Oh, wait now. The man who in front of you talk, then you talk. I don't know what the man in front of me wants. Then while we're doing that, there are people in the banking hall slipping things, slipping they slip to the teller to process for them. Why I'm still sitting there? Imagine I was second in line. I stood in the line for over 45 minutes.
What?
Or 45 in the banking hall because she on the phone
She
call.
on the phone. Are they seeing that people sleeping?
Trying to allow people in.
Hassan, before you continue, let me just give you my experience. We're all doing projects in Liberia. Just the other day, I sent money. I had to be awakened that they were not releasing the money because it was in certain amount and it was too much. So for them to release the money, I
There
had
you
to
go. I
pay
just said it.
X number of dollars out of my money. My money.
Yeah.
Whereas I had
So-
paid to transfer the money. Moses,
So the bank will asking you to bribe before
that's
they
not what I'm
release your
saying.
money?
Not the bank. The teller.
Oh, the teller.
The
Yeah.
teller. The teller. And these tellers are building houses.
Yeah.
So these petty crimes they're committing, thinking that it is sweet. So they've made
It's a business.
it's a
doing,
trending
yeah.
thing now.
Mhm.
Everywhere you go, all the money outlets.
But
Money
Volcano,
transfer outlets.
Volcano, let me give a quick.
And I was so mad. I was so mad. I paid to transfer the money that I should pay that to get my own money.
Yeah, I get your own money out.
And you get frustrated. So he said, go ahead, just let it happen. But that's what Liberia is about. Corruption is everywhere at every level.
But Volcano, I had a situation and I felt guilty. Honestly, let me admit, I felt guilty at the bank. I went to collect $6,000 of my money because my son Hassan had gone to Liberia to visit me in 2020.
Yeah.
So I went to go get some money, $6,000 from my account, so that I could pay an air ticket with $2,000 some more dollars, and then I had other projects to carry out. I went to this bank and I asked the lady, said, "Oh, no problem, you can go and get it." I went to the teller to get the money, and the teller told me, "You can't get all this money. You can only get $2,000."
What?
I know $6,000.
Same thing they said to me.
So then she told me, she said, "But you know what? I can talk to my friend in a cubicle. I need to give me $2,000 to make it $6,000, but you gotta give something." So I said, "How much can I give?" And the person said, she said, before she could open her mouth, so I suggested $50 because I was reading her lips. She wanted to say 100, so I just rushed and I said,
I'll pay $50.
I'll give $50. She said, It's not easy that they $50 for 3 person because I'm gonna say I got eat small thing. I said, my girl, just hold that one another time. I will always come. Then she said I should go to an approving manager. And I'm carefully speaking because maybe if I say certain things, other people will know which bank is it.
Yeah.
So I said, go to the approving manager. I went to the approving manager, and the lady, imagine, that day I cried in my heart and I felt so guilty. That's one day I felt guilty for Volcano. I went to this lady. I was sitting down. a gentleman went with a check for $2,500. And the lady said there's no money. She cannot give the guy the money because there's no money in the bank, nothing. But then here am I sitting there
waiting for 6,000.
waiting for 6,000 to withdrawal slip to be signed. Then when the guy walked in, she said, "Oh, now you don't want to send." I said, "Yeah." How much? 6,000 a year. Okay. Then she signed it. Imagine I'm going for $6,000 and she signed it because I
You're
offered to
bribing
give
them.
something.
Yeah.
I offered to give something. Somebody going for $2,500, man, and she said there's no money, and she blasting at the guy. I said the guy is the person who washes your dirty dishes at home. I mean, so in a condescending manner.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. I mean, I would have exposed her, but then you know
because
what?
Hassan, you are
needed my money so bad
at these
because I
people's
had gone to the
mercy.
bank so many times I couldn't get the money. So I desperately needed money.
Hassan, you are at these people's mercy. I'm way here in America. I work hard for my money. I send her to do my project, and you telling me that I can't get my money until I bribe you.
Yeah.
What else can I do?
So, from what I'm hearing from you guys, it seems to suggest that when we talk about malfeasance, we talk about dishonesty, it goes beyond our public officials, right?
It does. It does. And then, and you know what's scary?
Mm-hmm.
What are the banking sectors doing? What starts with the national bank?
What are they doing? Yeah.
What are they doing? They see they know these things happening.
Yeah, of course.
Everywhere.
The tellers are demanding money. If you don't get the money, they will say no money. But if you get the money, then they say, you know what? I will talk to my friend in the next cubicle to give some. It's a syndicate among them.
How will Western Union or MoneyGram accept me sending $4,000 or $5,000 in one lump sum where I pay the transfer fee.
Yeah, and they send your money.
The destination, and the destination is telling me they don't have the money. So why is Western Union or MoneyGram not making sure that the money is there before my money is sent? But of course, the money is there.
Yeah.
But this is how, and I'm telling you, these people are building houses with these petty crimes they're committing.
Of course.
Because that's crime.
Of course, that's crime.
Criminal.
Yeah, that's crime.
Nobody should be forced to do anything for anyone.
That's very unprofessional.
To do a job. Ladies and gentlemen, the lines are open. Call us at 404-272-2808. Again, 404-272-2808. We really want you to come in here because a lot of you here on this platform tonight in our chat room and listening and all over the world, you have experienced this, especially for those of you who go to Liberia all the time, like myself. This is unfortunate, and our country's image is not getting any better. We have lost every core values of who we are as a people, and the Indians and Lebanese and foreign business people will tell you straight up, your country is like this because you made it like this.
Of course,
the commodities we hike here, order the prices. A piece of iron the other day that I bought for $12. I went to buy one. They called me and say it's $25. Put an email on the phone. I yell at him and say, "Boss man, you can talk all you want. It's $25. You want it, you leave it. You don't want it, that's it." And I'm like, this is serious.
Yeah,
this is serious.
So I know time is fast spent.
Yeah.
There's a topic I want us to discuss, which is the COVID test.
No, Hassan, since we're discussing the bank, we still have, some time between there. Just briefly talk about the economy, the inflation, the problem of unemployment in the country. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, the thing is that there's no price control.
Okay.
I was in Liberia at the time when the exchange rate between the U.S. and Liberian dollars were at $1 to a US dollar to about 145 Liberty. Meanwhile, the gas price was $550 Liberty. Before I left, the gas price had gone to 620, and the Liberty was still at the same spot, $145. So what has happened? You get into public transport.
Came on spoon and justify it. He called himself the economist, and he's the big guy. Everything that has to do with the country's money is in his pocket. So he came there and said it would take some time for commodities to come down, because the argument is that those people bought a commodity. How long can gas stay? How long can gas stay in Liberia? You got millions of pimping, you got cars all over the place. Then you're telling me that the
But gas is
gasoline,
perishable.
yeah, like the gas, yeah, quickly, that
Yeah.
that up to now that the gasoline price should now go back to where it is in consonant with the rate of exchange. Eh? So these are the people
So you see,
doing
you
this
see,
to
like
run the country.
so
Because when you, the
transportation.
finance minister, come here and make this kind of justification that people bought a goods at certain price when the rate was high, now the rate came down.
Yeah.
You guys know that you brought the rate down on your own.
Of
At your
course.
own rate you brought down.
Yeah.
So the same
And
way
the
you
whole
brought
thing
your
was
own
a
rate down, you can bring the
fiasco.
prices of commodity down.
It was a
So
fiasco.
you
Yeah.
see, I mean, you can wake up today and you see one price at $5, and then the next time the next day you wake up, you go there, and the price has gone up. I mean, no price control, transportation, forget it. Especially in the evening time, transportation. Oh my goodness, you are at the mercy of taxi drivers. I became a taxi driver myself, so I was charging people under, and people are looking at me. Oh, but can you go? You knew the traffic. Oh, so I said no,
Oh,
man. I
they
don't.
were telling
No,
you
no,
that you are not charging there.
Yeah,
You were drunk.
of course, they'll tell you. They say,
Cameron,
but your friend
You
again.
were drunk.
Yeah.
They
You
said,
know,
man, let's hear your man on a charge.
Cameron are drunk.
yeah. They say, oh, but look, man.
La
No, they say, listen, Hassan, they say, Cameron car that water is using. Oh. But gentlemen,
But
the number to call 404-272-2808. The number is posted now. Call in. We will be wrapping up at 9 o'clock. This is your opportunity
I mean,
to join the conversation.
while we're waiting people to call, let me talk about the COVID. Let me talk about the COVID one because
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
because
go
you know,
there.
I work in the public health probably for almost 6 years
Okay.
before I came back to the States.
Okay.
But here is something that touched me, and then I began with it. When I went to Liberia, when I hit Liberia the first time, I got there, and a dark car pulled up on the tarmac, and the car, so someone called my name out, Hassan, and I said, and I turned around. I tried to go to the shuttle bus, and the person called me into the car. In the car, there were 3 other persons already in the car, plus me 4. The lady who called, there's a lady, a friend of mine who called me. I can't remember the person, but the person, called my name, called out my name, and I went in the car. I said, no, this way, and I jumped in the car. We go in then we went. It took us to the VIP, and I'm asking myself, but why VIP? We are not VIPs. We met other people there, some foreigners and other people sitting there. Then the guy asked for our passports. We handed the passport to them. Then they went outside. They came back. They said, you know what? Everybody get $20. And I said, $20 for? He said, no, so that you can bypass, you can take the COVID test because the COVID test is $75. I didn't want to pay because I felt that it was wrong, but I want to know how the system works, and I want to discover the loopholes in there.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I really wanted this segment. I need to say that to government so they will know that things that are going on, and we don't take care of things. A lot of things will happen at that RIA. In fact, the RIA is a super spreader. It's a conduit. It's a door opener, or a gateway to a lot of bad things that might happen in that country if we are not careful. So we give the $20 each. So I asked myself, but the COVID test is $75. So why are we paying $20? Because if you want to bypass the system, you should rather be paying more.
Yeah.
But we are paying far less. So the guy went and came back, processed our paperwork, everything, our passport, everything, and then we'll give you a little tip of $10, additional $10.
So you guys didn't go through testing?
No, we didn't go through testing because we paid $20 already.
Oh.
Yeah, that's to bypass the testing.
Okay.
Then the guy brought our paperwork, everything, our luggage, everything. Our luggage was not checked. And we have over 15, 16 pieces of luggage we had over there because we were about 10 or so on at the airport.
Everybody 20.
You know, so I'm asking myself, we didn't take the COVID test. So why if somebody had COVID and it entered the population?
Yeah.
That's one. Two, those luggage that we took with us or we brought into the country could have been drugs in there.
Yeah.
We were not checked. Could have been arms and ammunition. Somebody would be planning some diabolic thing against the government and nobody would know. And then also, there might be somebody might be just doing some commercial with some products or dime or something.
Yeah, selling drugs.
And they're defrauding government of some high or some serious cash. But the COVID one and the drug and the arm is the one that really concerned because for someone, we know what has happened. You know, people bypass, they enter the population and COVID explode. So why if Hassan Kiawu had COVID or even the foreigners that they let go in the population? Then we all left. Then one of the days I became a taxi driver. I was driving from Broad Street coming, and something just said, you know what, take some passengers, man, you go in Pinsville. And then Broad and Central Street intersection, 3 ladies stopped me. They said, come in, and I stopped. I went farther away, but then I decided to come. But I said, how far are you going? I said, oh, we're going to Sophie. You know, just come about Sophie. So I said, so I had a sense of feeling that when someone said I'm going to Sophie, you know, opposite SOS, they are rather going to the COVID center, you know, where because the World Lebanese Cultural Union gave the Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Institute, you know, a building closest to a gigantic building where they do the COVID testing. So I started to drive. I said, okay, yeah, get on. And the ladies, 2 sat down in the back, and then 1 sat in the front. The one who sat in the front was their tour guide. Apparently, the 2 ladies were visiting from the States. And before you can travel now, you have to have at least up to 48-hour window. You know, your COVID result must be 48-hour window. You must have a negative test result. By the time we got to the YMCA, then the lady asked me, how much from here to Sophie? I said $60 each person. Then he said, you new in the traffic. I said, no, you know, I don't normally charge beautiful ladies. You guys are beautiful. So, you know, normally I just go in by, you know.
Yeah.
So as we got to around by the bypass area, then somebody, then one of the ladies told me, say, oh, we're going to Boulevard Palace. Boulevard Palace is right on 13th Street.
Yeah.
The Boulevard Palace, you know, 13th Street. So we stop at Boulevard Palace. We're not going again. So what? Then they were discussing because I was eavesdropping on their conversation, when she said we stopped at Boulevard Palace because somebody had called on the phone and said that don't go to the COVID testing center because the crowd is too much. And if you go there, when we attempt to put you in, there will be chaos. So just go to Boulevard Palace. We'll come there and take your specimen, and we'll do that for you. So I overheard that. Then when I look in my rear view mirror, the lady and I, you know, we made eye contact. Then she looked at I had 3 ID cards hanging from my rear view mirror. One from the Athletes Union, and then my 2 access passes from the COVID, you know, because I was the media lead for the response at the time.
Yeah.
So then later on, they say, okay, you know, Kamen, just pull it down to Boulevard Palace. So I said, okay, you want me to pull your carrier inside? They said, yeah, you can pull inside. At this time, I said, oh, so you can hook me up with the person doing your COVID test. Oh, you heard me, eh? I said, yeah. I said, because I'm gonna say I'm going tomorrow, but you know I got take my COVID test 3 days ago. He said, yeah, we are still going to America today. You see, it almost 1 o'clock, going to 2 o'clock. We can be to the airport and leave by 6 o'clock. You know, going by Air Brussels. Air Brussels come there around by, they leave around by 7 or 8 or so. He said, you know, we got to be there sooner. So we got to take our test. We finish missing all. So I said, boy, just hope me, mama, you know, I can always pay. So, boy, you got to pay something handsome, but you got to pay something good. I said, mama, don't worry, man. I come from America, man. The way the US are like, hey, welcome me here, I can do it. So I dropped them off. Then I decided to follow them. So I drove off and I changed my shirt. Usually when I'm in Liberia, I have a spare shirt in the car because I sweat a whole lot. So I changed my clothes and I sat in the lobby of Boulevard Palace, and I was watching them. So I pretending to be watching an old game between Chelsea and Tottenham Hotspur. So I'm watching there. Somebody walked in, a gentleman walked in with masked up. I couldn't recognize, and they started to talk. While I was watching, I was eavesdropping on a conversation. He said, "Oh, are you the one they sent to do the COVID thing?" I say, "Yeah." Say, "Mama, you will do it, and you think I will get a result today?" "Mama, don't worry. I can get it today. As long you get my late no problem." He said, "Oh, but yeah, but what if I get some now? How will get the boss?" He said, "No, you get the boss on separate." And you finish seeing the boss, he said, "No." The boss said, "I'm okay with it. No problem." So as they walk towards the bathroom, there is a saloon right past the lobby. So I pretended to be going to the saloon in Boulevard Palace, and then I saw them going to the bathroom to do the swapping.
Swapping, yeah.
So they started to do it in the North Street,
Mhm.
and then they got through doing it. So I still wanted to find out whether it was actually true that this guy would produce something within an hour or so. So when I saw them doing that, I left them and I came and sat in the lobby like anybody else. Then all of a sudden, then I changed my position because you can't sit in the same place. There might be suspicious, but what if one guy sitting right here? So I changed my position, and then the guy came back after an hour and a half or so with a negative test result and backdated to 2 days.
Can you imagine that?
Imagine that.
Volcano?
So it gives a negative. So that means that anybody can at any time bribe anybody to get negative COVID result. There are people who are
And
negative.
and and on the flip side, they can even put positive COVID result
Of
on
course,
you,
of
so
course,
that
Oh
you
yeah,
can
people
bribe
can
them as
lie. Yeah,
well.
they can lie on you. Yeah.
of course. Results have
Mhm.
come. Results have come. They've been
Let me
positive,
let me
and
let me
it turns
say
to
it because
negative, negative turns to positive.
let me
But
say
then,
this
but
because
then another disheartening part is that, man, look here, we are making way too much money through the COVID thing, $75, for any citizen in Western in the West, and maybe African $50.
it's not
We
75, it's
still
one
have
hundred and fifty
one
dollars.
one COVID testing center.
Hassan,
Yeah.
Hassan is $150 because it's to and from.
But
No,
look,
I'm just saying when you are leaving now, when you're going back to like when you are leaving
Hassan
now.
is $150.
No,
Arrival is
no,
75.
I'm leaving the arrival out because arrival you could do your test right there. But what I'm thinking when you're going back, there's only one testing center whereby Soviet ice cream that the road leading to
We
the
know
beach.
what I'm saying. You're
Mhm.
trying. I don't want you to euphemize it. I'm saying that the collection is
Yeah, no,
the,
no,
$150.
the Bureau raised
no,
a lot of
I'm
money.
coming.
That's what he's
yeah,
saying.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course,
I'm
Yeah.
yes,
coming.
yeah, yeah,
So that
yes,
means the testing center having one is the reason why the corruption is pervasive. And
Yeah.
yeah,
this is why
Because
because
this
there's
yeah,
is
a
the
high
point.
no,
demand.
no,
Yeah.
This
you
is
see,
the
what
point
I'm
I
saying is
wanted to
that
make. Hassan,
when
let
you're
me say
in,
something quick. Hassan,
when you're
quick.
entering the
Hassan,
country, yeah,
Hassan, can you hear me?
yes,
Let me say something quick. This is the point I wanted to make. Liberians have a way of creating strangulation just so they can be corrupt. And the reason I say this, the COVID has been around for nearly 2 years and change. Liberia has not been outside of the COVID, being in the universe somewhere. We're here. So that one center creates the atmosphere for pervasive corruption. Okay? They have the money to create another center and to create another center, considering the
Yeah.
the,
To
the
minimize.
number of
Yeah.
passengers
yeah,
Mhm.
the
that continue to
influx,
come in the
Yeah.
country.
Mhm.
But if you only strap to that one center, then you are compelled to bribe. Because just by the fact when the line is outside, and this place you're talking about, at least I've been there, it's a huge compound.
yeah,
But if the line is outside and you're scared that, wait a minute, I might not make my flight tomorrow. And so the best thing to do is to cut the corner. But
and
what would
and
be
guess what?
robust? What would be robust? What would be more professional, refined, especially the fact that it's related to health matters, is to make sure you have several centers
Yeah.
so that people don't have to compromise the
Yeah.
integrity of COVID.
Sure.
But Volcano,
And unfortunately, we continue to do this to ourselves.
Mhm.
The brother here, I wanted to say this before you come in.
Okay.
Jesse Fargon say we should just stop bribing. But when your back is against the wall, what good
You
is
were
the money
bribed.
when you can't have it? You
Yeah.
want your money. You want your money so bad, you're stranded.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
people are putting bottlenecks just so you don't get your money. They're telling you you need a bribe. So as an end result, you just gave him because you one man against a million people.
Of course, the
What are you
system
gonna do?
can work. The system
Jesse,
is against you.
you
Yeah.
can't do
So
it. Yeah,
nothing you can
you
do. Yeah.
can. So that's why bribing will continue. I think the
Yeah.
systems and implementation of the system by
Not
those
working.
people who mean well will make the difference. But if you continue
Definitely.
to leave the most important elements of our country in the hands of squatters and criminals and these people who continue to commit petty crime from the bottom, the big government officials say, but wait a minute, it's business as usual. That's my point.
Yeah. So the point I was trying to make here is that what Hassan reported, and give gentlemen, this is where we're going to question,
Watch your time, please.
yeah,
We got
that is where
so many.
we're going to question the efficacy of our leaders. The only COVID center in Liberia, the testing center in Liberia, that center was donated by the World Lebanese Cultural Union. And Hassan wrote that on a weekly basis, these people generate what? $274,000, right, Hassan?
Yes, of course.
So if you raise that kind of money, why can't you have several centers in the country to help minimize the problem?
And
When you have
especially
people,
Moses, the issue
yes,
is not going away. COVID,
no,
COVID continue to bring variants about.
mhm,
So you got to be what proactive
yeah,
and
you gotta
create
take some congratulations.
the way to tackle this surge of passengers coming in because that's the only way people coming in the country. Me,
Yeah, mhm,
especially from the diaspora. But
yeah. Go ahead,
brother, I
Hassan.
don't know what's going on with our
Yeah.
people,
So
man.
I mean, and so I was surprised, and when that happened, when the guy came with the result and gave it to the two ladies, and they left, tears rolled down my eyes. I said, Lord, look at what we are in. We are against. It is us against corruption, and COVID is going to going to eat us up. Because look at my encounter at the airport. You mean to circumvent the rules not to take COVID
Yeah, mhm,
is to get $20. Whereas if to circumvent a rule, you got to pay more than that, but I'm paying far less. Then again, we compromise our security, compromise our drug enforcement,
the health of the
compromise,
country.
compromise the country at the airport. So I'm telling the authorities, look, there's a serious overhauling needed to be done at the airport. That airport is a super spreader. That airport is a recipe for chaos. That airport is a recipe for insurrection. That recipe is a case for I mean for is a spot for everything. And then, but more importantly, also the COVID center, like you said, we need more centers because just recently there was a brawl. Because just like Volcano said, people are trying to cut corners because people said, look, the minimum time you can wait at that place, minimum is 3 hours. The maximum could
Wow.
be anywhere after 4 hours. Bare minimum you can wait over there, three
Yeah,
hours.
and
Thank
the
you,
people,
gentlemen.
Until you get
Thank you,
tested.
Hassan.
So what you do,
yeah,
you got cut corners. And when you cut corners, of course, you have people screaming at you and blood might open. It happened recently.
Thank
yeah,
you, Hassan.
and the
Listen,
people are backdating reports.
you guys
Yeah.
got to be respectful of time. We
Yes,
extended the two
it's
hours.
time to roll.
We can't
Yeah,
enjoy the thing until we spoil it, right?
yeah,
But it was good conversation, Hassan. Good to have you. We'll come back. There are other issues we'll talk about.
yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
it's unfortunate for our country, but thank you so much for stopping by the issues room. We know that we'll come back. We'll
Yes,
definitely
of
come back.
course. I mean, it's my pleasure, and
Thank you.
I love the issues room. I think it's an alternative for what I call blah 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 blah.
Thank you.
That is
Thank
that
you.
is
Thank you,
that is
Hassan.
noise
Yeah,
making.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Hassan. It was a pleasure having you.
So Moses, man, I
Yeah.
think the truth here is this is not about a particular person. It's just about the overall breakdown in our society. And I
Definitely.
said it. People lack vision. These people, we put them in position of trust. They don't have the desire to make change. They don't, because the minister of health at this time would not be reviewing the situation, but the woman focus on her private hospital or clinic.
Yeah.
You
Conflict of
know,
interest.
yeah,
Hmm.
conflict of interest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to perform her own job, she not doing it. And
You
when people
know,
talk, they say, "Oh, what are you talking like that for?" But you compromising
yeah.
everything. One
Volcano.
COVID center in the entire country
Yeah.
for
Entire
everybody
country.
to go to the test in and out.
Yeah. Store everything. Store everything. And you got people endangering the safety of the world by manipulating COVID results.
But look at it. But
Can
look at
you
the
imagine
construct.
that?
Look at the construct of the COVID center at the airport itself.
Yes.
You know, you should have several areas
You go and do the
allocated
test.
for
Yeah.
testing. Then to
Mhm.
have people. There's no social distancing when it comes to that part of it. I'm
And
being
then you
honest
got
with
people
you.
literally, you got people
Body
literally
to
taking
body
bribes.
in
Yeah,
the
people
queue,
taking
body to
bribes. Yeah,
body.
you know.
So
Can you
we
imagine?
really don't have a lot of things in place, and we pretend that we're doing these things and lying to the international community as though social media is not there. Everybody taking pictures, everybody have phones, and every day we do these things, we get exposed. We get exposed, and it's unfortunate. I say this to me that it is not about a particular person. It's just the fact that we collectively have failed ourselves. And it has
Absolutely.
become so frustrating that in this day and generation, when we should be changing the narrative, for the positive, we
Yeah.
continue to regress, and we're regressing at a speed of 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Mhm.
nothing is slowing down.
Nothing is working,
Everything
man.
is going backwards in Liberia.
Nothing
I'm
is
being
working.
honest with you. And it's scary. It's
And
scary. Those little things that's supposed to change the trajectory of our country remain stagnant or going backwards. Banking
uh,
system, horrible. Horrible. Your own money, you have to bribe to get your own money. And sometimes you don't get the amount you want. Somebody's compromising you. You go to get your passport renewed.
you got to
Same thing.
bribe.
You have to bribe. As a Liberian, who should have the right to your passport once you pay the
Yeah.
passport fee? There should be no reason,
Mhm.
Moses, for you to bribe. This is your right. Your passport
But
is your right of identity.
of course, it is.
And then you got to bribe. To go to get your birth certificate,
You
you
got
got
to
to bribe.
bribe. You know,
So what,
everything.
what is it that you're going to get? Even you go to church, you got to bribe.
But to
You got
to
a
pay,
pastor there preaching on it that you must put money in the plate. If you put money in the plate, they already signal you up.
you go to
So your
pay your
tithe now
own.
becomes bribe.
You go to pay your tax. You got to bribe
Oh
the
yeah,
tax
oh yes.
collectors. Can
Yeah,
you imagine that?
yeah,
So
yeah.
that so what are we going to do straight? But like I always say, Volcano, and I would like to wrap up on this. Our greatest problem in Liberia is greed. Our people are self-centered, and when you are self-centered, then you compromise national interest, and that's what happening to Liberia. People are concerned about them personal well-being than the good of the country and the people. Thank you. It
Thank
was
you,
a
Moses,
pleasure.
man. Listen, this stuff will give us high blood pressure, high cholesterol, headache, and everything. Liberia problem, man. But Moses,
Never
I will not
finishes,
get
right?
tired.
The
I will
problem
not
never
get
goes
tired
away, but man.
because, and I'll be honest with you because, my man, let me tell you something. I love that country.
I
I
know,
love that
Volcano.
country to the
I
very
do.
bone that's in my
Yeah.
body. And I pray for the change. I don't know if I'm going to be here. If God's willing, maybe. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it'll be a miraculous change for our country to be like, some of our sister countries on the continent who've made some tremendous move forward. But I pray for it. I pray for it every day. And then when I look at the political construct of what's happening, CPP and GPP and all of that, and then CDC and CGC and all these things,
Everybody all over the
everything is
place
in
with a little
chaos.
fights.
It just tells me that nobody thinks
No,
Liberia in a patriotic way.
no.
People
It's all,
think Liberia in an egotistical way. It's
but that's
about
it.
them. It's about the
It's
greed
about
you just
that.
mentioned.
Hmm.
The greed that you just
Greed,
mentioned.
greed, greed,
You
greed.
understand me?
That's it.
It's
Yeah,
all about me,
me.
me, me.
Yeah.
Even
Mhm.
in the political arguments, somebody want to emerge as the winner. Who would
Yeah.
give way and say for love for country, for
They may give way.
patriotism?
No. So people are literally, killing one another.
Yeah,
How sure are you that even if you become president tomorrow, how sure are you that you're going to live a day after that? Why can't you just put the future of Liberia first, the interest of Liberia first? It's not about greed, 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 greed. Volcano, this problem is so huge. Is at every aspect of
every
society.
aspect. And but
Yeah.
here's the frustrating and unfortunate piece. From
Yeah.
my experience, having gone to Liberia since 2009 consistently every year,
Hmm.
every year, I'm not afraid for me.
Yeah.
At least I'm in a place where I can say if I die tomorrow,
Yeah.
I made
Something like
some mark, in my life. But I'm worried about the children who are not in school. I'm worried about the children who are just talking about little girls who have turned into selling themselves. I worry about the petty crimes committed by pimping boys who have no formal education and they think that riding motorbike provides money in the pocket. Now they're big boys.
yeah.
But what happens tomorrow? What
The
happens
law
when they cannot ride?
the
What do they fall back
lawlessness.
on?
Mhm.
You and I have something to fall back on.
Of
But then,
course.
are these the people we're going to leave our country with? Today, Alhaji Kraman died,
Yeah.
right? He
Everything,
was one of,
everything, everything
oh,
he worked for, he left
yeah, but
everything right here.
not
He
even
gone.
everything he worked for, everything that they made loud noise about.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Yeah. He's
Marcus
gone.
Matthew made loud
He
noise.
gone.
He's
Yeah.
gone. And many of these people will go.
Where's Samuel Doe today?
Yeah. So who do we
Yeah.
leave our country with?
Yeah.
This generation that I see
Yeah.
that run and vote, don't vote no conscience, don't vote understanding what the vote they're giving means.
State of desperation for
You
Canada.
know.
That's
So
what driving all these things. The young people. Like the young people that we saw in the street today. Protesting for Alexander Cummings. These are a good number of those people came from homes with extreme poverty, and those
yeah,
people are being exploited by politicians. Give them chicken change and throw them to the street. Yeah,
yeah, Moses. All
yeah,
right.
mhm,
Thank you. Good night.
yeah, yeah. Good. Sure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us here in the Issues Room. For those of you who came late, Emmanuel Jackson, always good to have you. Maybe you just chimed in, maybe you were here for a while. Nathan Lathrop, it was good to have you back. D Banks, Jesse Fagon, always good to have you. A very insightful breather. Thomas Awaji, as usual. Comfort Abu, welcome, welcome. Touchman, Sharif, it was good just having all of you wonderful people. We'll be back here on Friday with another conversation. Again, thanks. Make the Issues Room your platform, your alternative. Continue to spread the word. My name is Volcano Shelton. Have a great, great night.